Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
4chan. The most compelling argument for mandatory castration. How you doing? I'm Dan Tavius. Today, we're going to be doing an Iceberg Explain video on one of my favorite websites, 4chan. And now, I realize a lot of the stuff that I'm going to be talking about might come off as normie if you're already familiar with 4chan. But, you know, just keep watching because we're going to start off with the most obvious, well-known stuff. And we'll get into the more obscure stuff later. And I know I keep saying this, but this is the last one. I'm serious. This is the last Iceberg Explain video I'm doing. That's it. No more after this. Let's begin. B, or Random as it's also known, was 4chan's first message board. Users can post basically whatever they want on here, and for that reason, most of the degenerate stuff that 4chan's known for is usually born here. Now, believe it or not, I used to be a bit of a B-tard myself back in the day. I remember being a young lad, about 17 years of age, browsing B during one of my many nitrous oxide binges. Good times. Green texts are like stories or anecdotes that are written in a way that's unique to 4chan. It's hard to explain, so let me just give you a few examples.
Be me. 34. Schizo. Can't hold down a job. Hard to just get out of the house. $25,000 neat bucks a year. Fat. Drink. Smoke. Spend every day in front of the computer laughing to frogs.
Wojak. I'm pretty sure everyone has seen a Wojak at this point. I've used them in a bunch of my thumbnails. The only way you haven't seen one is if you've been in a coma since 2008. And if you have, you probably wish you were still in that coma. Anyways, Wojaks come in a bunch of different varieties. You got your soy jack, you got your NPC, you got the withered Wojak, the coomer, the doomer, the consumer, the 30-year-old boomer, and my personal favorite, Grug, Pepe. Before Wojaks, we had Pepe the Frog, which is the OG reaction character. Similar to Wojaks, Pepe also had a bunch of different variations like Smug Pepe and Pee Pee Poo Poo Pepe. He originally appeared in the comic book series Boys Club in this comic strip where he pulls his pants down at the urinal and says, "Feels good, man." But a whole culture formed around this character with a bunch of 4chan users making their own comics and memes with him as the star. He also became associated with the alt-right at some point, but we'll get into that later, maybe. Anonymous is a loosely organized group of hackers that originate on 4chan. The name Anonymous comes from the fact that most of 4chan's users don't have a username or anything, they're just anonymous. So these 4chan hackers have been behind some crazy stunts over the years, which again, we'll get into later. Bronies. Bronies are grown-ass adult males who are huge fans of the show My Little Pony. The standard brony looks something like this. R9K, aka Robot 9001, is a board that was originally intended to be exclusively for original content only. If you posted something in there that had already been posted before, it would automatically get deleted. Eventually the board just evolved into people posting a bunch of green text stories about their lives, mostly complaining about how shitty it is. Hole. Hole is the politically incorrect board. Today it's the most popular image board on 4chan and probably the most degenerate one as well. It's a place to discuss news, world events, and political issues and other related topics. And if you know anything about 4chan, you know this is a wild place. This is like the internet equivalent of a gas station bathroom. Weeb. A weeb is a white dude who is obsessed with Japanese culture, specifically anime. Rage comics. These were shitty amateur comics that were popular in 4chan back in like 2008. The most popular Rage comics character was, of course, Trollface, and people use Trollface today to indicate that some trolling is going down.
We do a little trolling. It's called We Do a Little Trolling.
Guys, I'm really excited about the sponsor of today's video, Holzkern. If you haven't heard of Holzkern, they're an Austrian company that specializes in watches. And these aren't just your ordinary schmuck watches, they're made of wood and stone, giving them a unique natural look that I haven't seen anywhere else before. Honestly, it's cool as shit. Just imagine walking up into the club with a wooden watch. All the ladies are going to be turning their heads and asking if they can touch your wood. Even the boxes are made of wood. And they don't only make watches, they also make sunglasses, jewelry, and even purses. Now ladies and gentlemen, don't think I forgot, Valentine's Day is right around the corner. And Holzkern is the perfect gift for that special somebody in your life. Alright, you give your girl one of these pieces of jewelry and she'll forget all about the time you forgot about her birthday. Or if you really fuck up, you can get her one of these beautiful wooden purses. I got one of these for my girlfriend, but I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys. She broke up with me recently. after she found out I was having an affair with your mom. Anyways, guys, if you want some cool and unique accessories, check out the link in the description of this video, or go to Holtzkern.com and use code DANTA15 at checkout for 15% off all products, plus a free wooden postcard of your choosing. It's pretty cool, huh? Again, the code is DANTA15 for 15% off and a free custom postcard. Thank you to Holtzkern for sponsoring this video. Let's get back into it. Cicada 3301. I've talked about this in multiple videos. If you want a full breakdown, watch my disturbing Reddit post Iceberg, but I'll give a basic rundown here. January 4th, 2012, this image was posted to 4chan. We're looking for highly intelligent individuals. To find them, we have devised a test. There's a message hidden in this image. Now, I remember when this came out, I actually attempted to decipher it myself. I thought, hey, I'm a smart guy, okay? I have like 12 degrees from DeVry University, so this should be a cakewalk. Boy, was I wrong. The people who were smart enough to decipher the initial clue were led down a crazy rabbit hole of puzzles and tests that they needed to solve. Eventually, some guy found coordinates that led to multiple locations all over the world. And if you went to those locations, you would find a QR code that took people to a website on the dark web. After about a month of this, the creator of Cicada 3301 posted this message on 4chan. We have now found the individuals we sought, thus our month-long journey ends. Nobody knows who these people are, if they're a cult, if they're CIA, or if it's just some fat neckbeard who made a bunch of money on Bitcoin and is just fucking around with people. The Habbo Hotel raid. This is a classic. If you don't know Habbo Hotel, it was kind of like a video game chat room where you would make these avatars and just go talk to people. One of the most popular hangouts in the game was, of course, the pool. So a bunch of people on 4chan made their own characters and exploited a glitch that allowed them to block off the pool, where they kept spamming the phrase, "Pools closed due to AIDS." Kek. Kek is the 4chan version of LOL. If you've ever played World of Warcraft, you know why. When a Horde character would type in LOL, the Alliance players would see it as KEK instead. Eventually, this turned into its own country and religion. Kekistan is the country of origin for all Pol shitposters, and they worship the Egyptian deity Kek, which is represented by Pepe the Frog. Now, to this day, there's only one country in the world who recognizes Kekistan's sovereignty, and that's Kosovo. 4chan Tumblr wars. 4chan and Tumblr basically represented both sides of the internet. 4chan being the male-dominated, politically incorrect side, while Tumblr was the mostly female SJW side. And it should go without saying that both sides absolutely hated each other. And in 2014, this hatred turned into a full-blown war. Except instead of guns and bombs, they were fighting with shitposts. On June 14th, Tumblr started the aggression with this post detailing how Tumblr users were gonna raid 4chan. "We will go to their site as a form of protest. We will overwhelm them with corrections on their awful lies and let them really know what the world thinks of them." But 4chan didn't just take this assault lying down. They launched their own counteroffensive where they started flooding Tumblr posts with gore, racism, and anti-SJW memes. Tumblr then had to go on the defensive and countered those posts with posts of cute animals and rainbows. But when the dust finally settled, the only thing that war proved is that
War never changes.
Moot, aka Chris Poole, is the guy who created 4chan, a decision which I'm sure he regrets every single day. Conspiracies. So a lot of internet conspiracy theories get their start on 4chan's X board, also known as the Paranormal board. Pizzagate and QAnon being the best examples. Speaking of that, Pizzagate. I mean, there goes my hopes of monetizing this video. Pizzagate was a theory that a pizza place in DC was secretly a front for a child trafficking ring. The reason people believe this is because somebody hacked Hillary Clinton's campaign chairman's emails, and in a few of the emails he was talking with the owner of Comet Ping Pong and Pizza. So some people on 4chan thought that these messages were coded and that there were kids being held in the basement of the pizza place. QAnon was this guy who claimed to work for US intelligence who started leaking information to the Pol board. The stuff he was saying was like Pizzagate but on steroids, that a global cabal of Democrats and celebrities were trafficking children and drinking their blood, and Donald Trump was fighting a secret shadow war to try and stop them. One of the craziest things that Q said was that John F. Kennedy Jr. faked his own death in 1999, and he's actually Q. Like, he himself is Q, and that he was gonna come back from the dead and expose this whole thing. Gamergate. A few years ago, you couldn't go anywhere on the internet without hearing about Gamergate, but I never really gave enough of a shit to look into it, but basically Gamergate was another stupid moment in the culture war where gamers and SJWs faced off against each other. It all started with an indie developer named Zoe Quinn that dropped a game called Depression Quest. Many gamers thought her game was a heaping pile of dog shit, but gaming journalists gave it glowing reviews. So gamers were already pissed off about this, but then a blog post came out from Zoe's ex-boyfriend, who claimed that she was sleeping with a video game reviewer in exchange for positive reviews. Now, the gamers were really pissed. They weaponized all that pent-up sexual frustration and started sending Zoe death threats and even leaked her address. It got so bad that she eventually had to move from her house, and eventually people on 4chan and 8chan got together and decided to go after other people too, like feminist media journalist Anita Sarkeesian and another game developer Brianna Wu. Now, I'm guessing there was probably like 27 people total participating in these harassment campaigns, but I remember the media at the time was acting like every single male gamer in the world was a direct participant in this. Scientology. So 4chan has a long-standing beef with the Church of Scientology. In 2008, they launched a whole-ass crusade against them. The whole thing started on January 14th when a video was posted on YouTube of Tom Cruise talking about how much he loves Scientology. The video was pretty embarrassing and Tom looked like he was high on nitrous oxide. So the Church of Scientology threatened to sue anybody who hosted or posted the video. YouTube buckled under the pressure and took the video down. And after news came out that they tried to take the video down, 4chan mobilized the troops and put Project Chanology into effect. On January 21st, Anonymous released a video called Message to Scientology. It was pretty much a formal declaration of war.
Over the years, we have been watching you, your campaigns of misinformation, your suppression of dissent, your litigious nature. All of these things have caught our eye. With the leakage of your latest propaganda video into mainstream circulation, the extent of your malign influence over those who have come to trust you as leaders has been made clear to us. Anonymous has therefore decided that your organization should be destroyed.
First, they DDoSed Scientology's website. Then they made it so that Scientology was the first result when Googling dangerous cult. Then people all over the world started protesting in front of Scientology centers, blasting Never Gonna Give You Up on their boomboxes. Absolute certified hood classic. You know, it's funny, man, because half the time 4chan are a bunch of scumbag degenerates, and the other half they're invaluable members of society. VIP, the VIP board is similar to B in that it has no rules. You can post whatever random topic you want. Anybody can see the post, but only people who cough up $20 a year can post. And I had no clue 4chan had a premium version. That's absolutely wild to me. NEAT. NEAT is an acronym for Not in Education, Employment, or Training. On 4chan, it's synonymous with neckbeards and lazy bums. Shrek is Love, Shrek is Life is a green text story that was posted on January 14th, 2008. The story was about a kid who was praying to Shrek when suddenly Shrek appeared in his room and proceeded to anally brutalize him. This genre of story became a thing on 4chan, and pretty soon other people were writing tales about how they were sodomized by the green ogre. Burger King foot lettuce. If you're not familiar with this one, it's one of the most disturbing things on 4chan.
Burger King foot lettuce. The last thing you'd want in your Burger King burger is someone's foot fungus, but as it turns out, that might be what you get. A 4chaner uploaded a photo anonymously to the site showcasing his feet in a plastic bin of lettuce.
4chan Twitch leak. This happened pretty recently. Back in October of 2021, somebody made this post on 4chan. In this post, the Anon linked a torrent to Twitch's source code along with a list of how much money the top streamers were making on the platform. Hackers on steroids. One of the first ever mentions of Anonymous by the mainstream media was this guy.
They call themselves Anonymous. They are hackers on steroids.
So members of Anonymous now jokingly use this term to refer to themselves. Moot retirement. This is referring to Moot officially retiring as 4chan's administrator. Dude probably realized he created a Frankenstein's monster, so he called it quits. He made a post on 4chan saying he basically couldn't handle the pressure anymore. The fappening refers to an incident in 2014 where dozens of celebrities' nude photos were leaked onto 4chan and Reddit. These images were collected by a group of anonymous hackers who exploited iCloud to get access to celebrities' photos collections. Now, it started out that these guys would just share the photos amongst each other, but then one of these schmucks got greedy and decided he was gonna leak them and try to make some money. Eventually, hundreds of these photos ended up on 4chan. Emma Watson, Jennifer Lawrence, Selena Gomez. But sadly, no Danny DeVito. These photos then made their way to Reddit, where a dedicated subreddit was made, r/thefappening, which got 100,000 subs in one day. Eventually, 5 of the people responsible for these leaks were charged with unauthorized access to a protected computer and were eventually sentenced to prison. Post of Jeffrey Epstein's death before it was publicly known. As we all know, back in 2019, Jeffrey Epstein killed himself in a New York City jail while on trial. But what you may not know is that before any mainstream news outlet broke the news, 4chan broke the news. 40 minutes before anybody reported on Epstein's passing, this post was made on 4chan. Don't ask me how I know, but Epstein died an hour ago from hanging and cardiac arrest. Hiromoot, also known as Hiroyuki Nishimura, is the creator of 2channel, which is like a Japanese version of 4chan. And as of 2015, he also owns 4chan, which he bought from the regular Moot. His other nicknames include Hiroshima Nagasaki, Jackie 4chan, and of course, Hiroshimoot. Also, there's one more name, but I'm not gonna say it. Nintendo hack. Somebody hacked into Nintendo servers and leaked a bunch of information on 4chan from 2018 to 2020. These leaks included source code, assets, ROMs, and sexy Bowser Rule 34. 8chan. It's like 4chan, except twice as degenerate. The website came under a lot of heat because multiple mass scooters were active on the site. One in particular posted his manifesto 3 hours before committing horrible atrocities. The site's creator, Frederick Brennan, says even he wants the site shut down. Boxy was basically the prototype for the modern e-girl. She posted a few videos on YouTube all the way back in 2008 of her being quirky.
My name is Boxy. Most of you know me as, most of you know me as Boxy, I suppose.
So these videos made their way around 4chan. The community was divided on her. Half of them hated her guts, the other half was simping hard. Boxy, being a 4chan user herself, saw the attention she was getting on there and made a video directed at 4chan. This video pushed some of her haters over the edge. A small group of anonymous hackers got together and hacked her YouTube account, privating all of her videos and threatening to dox her if she ever made another video. And their plan worked because she stopped uploading videos, at least for a few years. She returned in 2011 under the YouTube name A New Hope. It turns out Boxy was just a character being played by a woman named Katie Wayne. Behind the meme, Zenzi. So for context, behind the meme was a guy who made videos explaining memes. The videos themselves were pretty basic, surface level explanations, and honestly, kind of cringe.
Some of the popular variations being the classic shish kebab and doner kebab, which, if I'm pronouncing that right, sounds a whole lot like boner kebabs, which really doesn't sound too appetizing.
So yeah, a lot of people on the internet hated this guy because he was making memes accessible to normies. But nobody hated him more than 4chan. One day, an anonymous user cooked up a scheme to try to get rid of BTM. The plan was simple. Every time he posted a video, they would comment with, "Please make a video on Zenzi," with no other context. Zenzi being something completely made up. Every time he made a video not covering Zenzi, 4chan would dislike bomb the video. They were hoping that this would eventually frustrate him to the point of giving up YouTube altogether. But their plan backfired when Behind the Meme found out about the scheme.
Zenzi, Zenzi, Zenzi. It has been all over my comment sections in the last 24 hours. This meme has seemingly popped up overnight. When you go search for Zenzi, a bunch of random videos and images come up. None of them seem to have anything in common though. I wonder why. Oh, that's right, because some people apparently don't like my channel and what I do. You see, Zenzi is an attempt to get me to make a video on a meme that makes no sense and really doesn't exist, so I look like a fool and lose credibility.
Dub the Do, another certified hood classic. I don't know why this is on level 2, this is basic level stuff, but whatever, let's recap. Mountain Dew held an online poll to decide the name of their new flavor, and if you know anything about 4chan, you know they love f***ing with polls. And speaking of people who love f***ing with polls, the name with the most votes was Hitler. Did nothing wrong. Followed closely by Gushing Granny, Fapple, and Diabetes. Every copy of Super Mario 64 is personalized. So 4chan's X board is known for some borderline remedial conspiracy theories, and this is probably one of the most remedial. This post reads, every copy of Super Mario 64 is personalized. Nintendo's experimental AI adapts and subtly creates a slightly altered version of the game tailored specifically for you, appealing to you subconsciously in ways that you don't even notice, as well as attempting to mess with you and study how you react to it. Have you ever played someone else's copy of Mario 64? Have you ever felt like something was just a little bit off? That's why. That's how. He will not divide us. On the day of Donald Trump's inauguration in 2017, Shia LaBeouf set up a live stream that was meant to be like a performance art piece or something. The live stream was supposed to be 24 hours a day and last 4 years until the end of Trump's presidency. The public was invited to deliver the words, "He will not divide us," into a camera mounted on a wall outside the Museum of Moving Image in New York, responding to those words in any way they wished. So basically the words, "He will not divide us," were written on a wall, and there was a camera at the wall live streaming people's reactions. Why? Who the f knows, man? I don't know. But a lot of people were actually showing up to this thing, including Galaxy Brain Nepo baby Jaden Smith. When the good people on Poll got word of this performance, they decided to do what they do best. A little troll. So Poll members started showing up to the live stream, trying to trigger Shia as much as possible. And eventually Shia gave in to the trolling and punched somebody in the face. Then he took another L when the museum that was hosting the live stream decided to shut the whole thing down because it was too much trouble. But Shia isn't one to give up easily, so he decided he was going to set up the live stream at another location. So he went to the most godforsaken hellhole on the entire planet, Albuquerque, New Mexico. That one was shut down too because of violence in the area. So Shia decided instead he was just going to point the camera at a flag that had the words, "He will not divide us" written on it. But the fine men on 4chan were able to track down this flag, and they replaced it with a MAGA flag. So Shia moved the flag to another location. The same thing happened. And this went on for like 17 more times before he finally gave up. Vaporeon copy pasta. Okay, I think I can just read this one.
Hey guys, did you know that in terms of male human and female Pokemon breeding, Vaporeon is the most compatible Pokemon for humans? Not only are they in the field egg group, which is mostly comprised of mammals, Vaporeon are an average of 3 feet tall and 63 pounds. This means they're large enough to be able to handle human slugs, and with their impressive base stats for HP and access to acid armor, you can be rough with one.
Where the fuck are your parents?
Shoop da Whoop is a meme of Cell from Dragon Ball Z shooting a laser out of his mouth.
I'm a fire in my laser.
Bane posting. Okay, this might be a little bit of a controversial opinion, but I think The Dark Knight Rises is the superior Christopher Nolan Batman movie, okay? People say Joker is a better villain than Bane, but I disagree, okay? I think those people are just NPCs, all right? They're just bots. They can't think for themselves. That being said, I think we can all agree that the dialogue at the very beginning of the movie between Bane and Peter Baelish was a little bit awkward.
If I pull that off, will you die?
It would be extremely painful.
You're a big guy.
For you.
People were obviously memeing on this clip hard, but things got turned up a notch when Tom Hardy, the actor who played Bane, announced that he was going to do an AMA on Reddit. So 4chan organized another classic raid on this AMA. A bunch of 4chan users flooded the AMA with questions about the scene and downvoted any questions that weren't related to it. Last night I Bond burgered your sister is referring to this meme that somebody posted on 4chan. Nobody really knows what the actual meaning is, but it's still funny. L was the short-lived Lolicon board, which thankfully has been deleted. If you don't know what a Lolicon is, I suggest you don't Google it unless you want the FBI showing up at your house. The shopping cart theory. This is actually an interesting, I don't really know what to call it, like a thought experiment, an observation. It goes like this.
The shopping cart is the ultimate litmus test for whether a person is capable of self-governing. To return the shopping cart is an easy, convenient task and one which we all recognize as the correct, appropriate thing to do. To return the shopping cart is objectively right. There are no situations other than dire emergencies in which a person is not able to return their cart. Simultaneously, it is not illegal to abandon your shopping cart. Therefore, the shopping cart presents itself as the apex example of whether a person will do what is right without being forced to do it.
You know, come to think of it, my ex-wife never put her shopping carts back. Looking back, that should have been an obvious red flag. Saki Sanobashi is one of the most famous pieces of lost anime media, and it was first mentioned on 4chan's X-board. It was described as some weird anime about naked girls stuck in a large bathroom without doors, having a philosophical debate about never getting out of the room. After losing hope and starving for some days, everything goes downhill and they all whack themselves in gruesome ways. He also mentioned that the name might be something along the lines of "Go for a Punch," Another 4chan user said he remembers seeing something similar, but it was called Saki Sanobashi. After Mongoloid YouTube Chad Justin Wang made a video on the topic, a Reddit user named Saki Sanobashi OP made a post claiming that the original 4chan post he made was all made up, fabricated, because he was bored. But there's no way to verify if they're the same person, so people are still holding out hope that this thing exists. Kek Rock. This is a mythical lost video game. Images of the box art appeared on the V board, which is the video game board, and got everyone's attention because it had Kek in the name. There's no videos of gameplay or anything like that, but a bunch of people claim that they played it back in the 90s and it was unsurprisingly shit. It's like a shitty generic version of Banjo-Kazooie. Dusty the Cat. On February 15, 2009, 2 videos were posted by an account named GlennSpam1. The videos were of a guy abusing his cat named Dusty. Now, there's 2 things you need to understand about 4chan. Number 1, they love cats. And number 2, they hate people who abuse cats. Anonymous was able to track down the person running the account. Turns out it was some 14-year-old schlemiel from Oklahoma named Kenny Glenn. And after 4chan contacted the local police and informed them about what was going on, Kenny was arrested. Duck rolling. The duck roll was the predecessor to the Rick roll. Somebody posts a link to something, but you click it and it's a duck on wheels. Sarah Palin email hack. In 2008, an ancient fossil was discovered in Arizona. This fossil was approximately 7.2 million years old. Its name was John McCain, and he was running for president in 2008. But apparently, he decided he really didn't want to win that bad, so he chose a Saturday Night Live character to be his running mate. Well, during the campaign, Sarah Palin had her email hacked by a 4chan user by the name of Rubico. He said it only took him 15 seconds to figure out her password. It was her birthday. He also said that there was nothing incriminating, but he did find some feet pics which he leaked to WikiFeet. He also made a post on 4chan bragging about how he hacked her email and then leaked her password. But the idiot got caught because his 4chan account used his personal email address. And it turns out that the hacker was David Kernel, the son of a Democratic politician from Tennessee. Also, tell me this mother sucker doesn't look like the gay love child of Jake Paul and Andrew Callahan. Anyways, David was sentenced to a year in the slammer, and Sarah Palin compared the situation to Watergate. Taylor Swift Horace Mann. In 2012, famous annoying white woman Taylor Swift held a contest on Facebook to decide what school she would perform at. And of course, 4chan banded together and manipulated the vote. The school with the #1 most votes was Horace Mann School for the Deaf, which makes sense because her music is much better when you can't hear it. But unfortunately, Taylor ended up not going through with the concert. But she did donate $20,000 to the school, which is good on her. NoFap is quite simply abstaining from touching your schlong. Listen man, a lot of people these days are straight up addicted to porn. I knew a guy who whacked off at his desk at work during his daily meeting. Every day. So NoFap is a community based around the idea that not whacking off is beneficial both mentally and physically. It got popular on Reddit, but before r/nofap ever existed, people were doing a version of it on 4chan and other forums. Except, it wasn't really about bettering yourself, they were just having a contest to see who could last the longest, a la Seinfeld. And eventually that evolved into the NoFap movement of today. WT Snacks worked as a programmer for 4chan back in the early days, and he also served as a moderator for a short time. He got fired by Moot himself because he honestly kind of sucked at moderating, but a lot of people liked him and he was super influential on the site, so they were pissed to see him go. And they even made a petition to bring him back. Operation Pridefall. As most of you know, June is Gay Pride Month. And if you didn't know that, you probably hate gay people. Now, every year June rolls around, every company changes their logo to a pride flag and becomes super gay for the month. A lot of people on 4chan found this annoying and they also didn't like the gay people. So in June of 2020, they organized a raid called Operation Pridefall. Every June, hundreds of massive corporations band together to smother social media with posts in favor of Pride Month, a code word for the degeneracy that is LGBT activism. Many of these accounts are rather small and get very little engagement, yet they continue to post without backlash. Beginning June 1st, the goal of Operation Pridefall is to get on Twitter, Instagram, etc. and drop a shit ton of disturbing red pills on homosexuality on the comments of these lesser known pages. The bigger pages are okay targets, but posts tend to get unnoticed in the sea of comments. So yeah, they spammed basically every company with anti-gay stuff, but from what I can tell, not much came of it. Alien hoax. This is referring to an image which was posted to X, which was supposedly taken at Luke Air Force Base in Arizona, and it's supposedly of an alien. Now, that's not the weird part. The weird part is that immediately after getting posted, 4chan servers went down. Now, obviously, that can't just be a coincidence. It must have been a reptilian conspiracy theory to cover up the truth. The photo also spawned a lot of memes, and people posted their version of the original photo. Lee Goldson, aka Barney Fag, aka Cheese Boy, is a man who really hates Barney. This man hates Barney almost as much as I hate Franklin the Turtle, which I didn't even think was possible. Like, he wrote a whole ass manifesto about how much he hates Barney. I've written this paper to describe some terrifying experiences throughout my life, more specifically regarding a certain purple dinosaur that ended up getting too much screenplay during my time at school. That show is Barney and Friends. I hate this show with all my heart. Nothing can deter me from hate of this show. His autistic fixation with Barney gained him a reputation of being a bit of a lolcow. According to the Soyjack wiki, which is a real thing, Lee spends upwards of 18 hours a day patrolling various boards on 4chan, searching for posts that contain My Little Pony and Barney imagery in an attempt to eradicate things that he deems childish from the site and fight back against the people who he believes are targeting him with said imagery. By the way, when I say autistic fixation, I'm not saying that to poke fun at autistic people. That's literally what this is. So don't be in my comments calling me an ableist, because I have Asperger's myself, okay? So f off. Self-diagnosed, but still. Yarenika. So there's this manga called Kuso Miso Technique, which in English translates to shit soup technique, and it's about two guys stooping each other. In one scene, a dude is walking through the park when he sees another man wearing a jumpsuit on a park bench. The man unzips his jumpsuit and pulls out a schlong and says, "Yarenika?" which means, "Shall we do it?" They then proceed to anally probe each other in the shower and make some funny faces. And the faces they made in these scenes turn into memes of their own. You've probably seen these somewhere and didn't know the origin. Well, there you go. Justin Bieber, North Korea. Justin Bieber has had a crazy character arc over the years. He went from being one of the most hated people in America to being slightly less hated. But nobody hated JB more than the fine men on 4chan. So whenever they got the opportunity to troll him a little bit, they didn't let it go to waste. One of the best trolling campaigns against Bieber was Operation North Korea is Best Korea. In 2010, a voting page was launched on Justin's website where people could vote for what country he would perform on during his world tour. And I think you know where I'm going with this. At the number one spot was the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. But unfortunately, Bieber didn't end up going. Some sad shit. 4chan City is a 4chan themed cartoon made by YouTuber NCHP Productions. The description of this video says, "It's an old and silly animation I stupidly did for 4chan back when I was doing drugs or something. I regret everything." Creepy Chan refers to model Allison Harvard, who posted some creepy photos of herself on MySpace that ended up on 4chan. Her appearance was straight out of a shitty horror movie, which led people to give her the nickname Creepy Chan. Cracky Chan. Similar to Creepy Chan, we have Cracky Chan. In 2005, she posted some photos of herself wearing cat ears with the words "Sub 4chan" written on her palm. And people were simping for her hard. She was being discussed so much that one of the mods had to filter out the word cracky. And the obsession with her often went too far. People made entire websites dedicated to her, and she was being harassed online. And people even called her place of work asking for her. Cracky pretty much completely withdrew from the internet after this wave of attention, but weirdos to this day are still trying to find her. Pokemon Clover is a ROM hack developed by 4chan's VP board, which is dedicated to Pokemon. It started out as a shittier version of Pokemon Fire Red, but eventually it evolved into an actually good game. They added new locations, a new story, music, characters, even new original Pokemon, all with a 4chan theme. Honestly, it looks pretty good. I might have to give it a try when I'm not busy having copious amounts of sex with your mother. Jake J. Brand, September 18, 2006. This was posted on 4chan. On Sunday, there will be 7 dirty explosives detonated in 7 US cities. The death toll will approach 100,000 from the initial blast, and countless other fatalities will later occur as a result from radioactive fallout. The bombs themselves will be delivered via trucks. These trucks will pull up to stadiums hosting NFL games. The 22nd of October will mark the final day of Ramadan, as it would fall in Mecca. Osama bin Laden will then issue a video message claiming responsibility for what he dubs America's Hiroshima. In the aftermath, civil wars will erupt across the world, both in the Middle East and within the United States. Now, obviously, the FBI is patrolling 4chan 24/7. and they took this threat seriously. It didn't take long to track down the person responsible for this post, and it turned out to be some schlemiel named Jake from fucking Wisconsin. So Jake got sentenced to 6 months in prison for his little prank, and everybody on 4chan learned a valuable lesson. And that's, if you fuck around, inevitably, at some point you're gonna find out. B-Day was basically a 4chan civil war. Now, as you all know, 4chan is really fond of doing raids, but in mid-2006, it was getting a little bit out of hand. There was a new 4chan raid going on like every week. So Moot himself had to step in and issue a statement that mods would be enforcing stricter regulation on raids and also on jailbait, which was pervasive in B. This caused an absolute uproar. It was speculated by a lot of people that the reason for this sudden crackdown is that the Anons had recently started going hard at furries. And apparently, some high-profile 4chan mods happened to be furries. Either way, half of the B population declared war on the other half because they saw these new rules as going against everything 4chan stood for. So there was a mass exodus of people from 4chan to 7chan where they started plotting against their former home. A guy by the name of Captain Cornflake even wrote a declaration of B dependence. They have plundered our post and deprived us of our jailbait. They have forced upon us their twisted ideology of furry fandom. They have deprived us of our ability to fight our enemies, forcing us to submit to the wishes of the fur fags. We are anonymous. We are B. Our home is no longer on 4chan. In these times of unrest, we have formed the state of 7chan.org as our new sovereign nation on the worldwide internet. Signed, Anonymous. But that was not the end. Not too long after making the transition to 7chan, they immediately started flooding B with that script. So much so that 4chan servers got overwhelmed and the entire website went down. The B-tards on 4chan followed suit and tried to do the same to 7chan, but they failed. After a few days, 4chan came back and 7chan tried to attack again, but their second raid attempt failed. Eventually, the two sides were able to somewhat reconcile after many years, but the veterans of this war still have flashbacks to this day. Many of them have never adjusted back to regular life.
War never changes.
Pipergate. Until 2021, there were a couple of YouTube channels, Piper Barnes, Piper Rocks, and Isabel Piper. These channels featured a young girl named Piper who would make these weird edits with sexual undertones.
One could simply look at the outro that she had adopted not long after starting her uploads. It's something that I'm choosing not to show you, and something that I don't suggest you seek out either, as essentially it's a revealing upward shot of a young girl wearing a small skirt.
And it gets much more disturbing.
Commenters would say things like, "I love you, what's your Snapchat? LOL, you did it. You need some more booty shaking, but it was still good. And estoy enamorado, contactimonos."
Bro, I don't know what's more disturbing, the comments themselves or Nick's pronunciation of them. So a group of 4chan users did a huge investigation into this channel and wrote an entire report on the top. In the report, it was revealed that there was a pedo ring behind these videos. The ringleader was a man named William G. Whitaker, a 65-year-old convicted sex offender from Florida. The really fucked up thing is that this guy owned a child modeling agency called Wizard Productions where, quote, parents would take their kids to be filmed, typically dancing or singing, with the hopes that their kids would become famous, showing off their various talents. Now, keep in mind that this putz was already a convicted predator, so the whole agency was unlicensed and illegal, so the police shut it down. But for some reason, he didn't go to jail for this. And it's believed that the footage of the girls that he captured during his time in the modeling agency were used in his YouTube videos. The good news is, though, William won't be targeting any girls anymore, because he dead. John Lennon, the absolute madman, who's referring to this photo of John Lennon looking like an absolute madman. Mangumgate. On the music board, a user named Eddie posted a photo of Jeff Mangum from his high school yearbook. To be honest, I don't really know anything about music because I only listen to Mongolian throat singing. But if you're like me and have no clue who this guy is, he's the lead singer for the band Neutral Milk Hotel, which I guess is popular on Mew. Anyways, as I was saying, somebody posted a photo of him from his high school yearbook, and later on, another person posted a photo of somebody named Caroline Mangum, who I'm assuming is his sister, because that can't be a common last name. Now, is there anything familiar about this girl to you guys? Does she look like someone to you? Let me help you out. Here's a picture of Anne Frank next to Caroline Mangum. You see it now? And then it gets even crazier when you see Jeff's wife, Astra. There's only one explanation. Jeff traveled back in time, brought Anne Frank with him to the future, where she poses as his sister, and then married her. Either that or they just look slightly similar. Now, I'm pretty sure nobody actually believes this, but then again, people believe some crazy shit, alright? There's people who actually believe that it's okay not to be subbed to Dantavius. Death metal. Pachinko is an obscure British indie rock band from the late 90s. They were basically a group of friends from high school who started a band in their garage in England. They never saw much success and broke up in 2001 after only 4 years. But in 2016, somebody discovered one of their demo tapes in a shit bin at some dirty charity store in Nottingham, England. The guy then posted the tape to 4chan, and people actually enjoyed it a lot. They started getting a cult following. After 20 years, the band had enough of a fan base that they started touring around the world, which just goes to show that you should never give up, because it might take 2 years, it might take 20 years, but eventually you'll get a break. Taylor Swift is a 4chan user. Now, we've talked a lot of crazy conspiracies so far, but this one might just take the cake as the most batshit insane theory I've ever stumbled upon. There are rumors swirling around the nether that Taylor Swift is an avid 4chan user. Now, on the surface, this makes no sense because she's been the target of 4chan's trolling multiple times, and generally isn't very well liked in that neck of the woods. But let's see the evidence. First, there's this post of a woman from the nose down with the caption, "Hi B, I'm feeling down. Please make me smile." The girl looks suspiciously similar to Taylor Swift. Also, the walls in the background of this image appear in another photo of Taylor Swift that she posted to her own Instagram. Then there's this image Taylor Swift posted to Instagram with the caption, "Nothing quite like a freezing cold wintry beach." The very same day this post was made to 4chan. Somebody looked at the metadata of this image and it turns out it was taken the same day that Taylor posted her photo. And probably the most convincing piece of evidence is that somebody posted a picture of their cat and said, one random person will get to name it. The person who was selected chose the name Meredith. And Taylor has a cat that looks just like the cat from the post. And you know what its name is? Meredith. Man, if it turns out Taylor Swift really is a beatard, her career is officially over. Battletoads is a classic 4chan prank where people would call into GameStop and ask if they could pre-order Battletoads. Eventually, GameStop employees were getting so many calls that this gave them PTSD. Like, this was Vietnam and 9/11 combined if you worked at GameStop in the mid-2000s.
My son went down there and looked for a game called Battletoads, and you didn't have it, and I'm wondering why you're shooting the whoop for him.
I'm gonna take this Battletoads and shove it so far up your ass, buddy. I don't have time for this fucking bull.
Floor tile fetish. When it comes to fetishes, I've heard them all. I once knew a guy that was aroused at the thought of beating up turtles. But here's a fetish I bet you've never heard of before. Floor tiles. Yes, you heard me right. I said floor tiles. September 1st, 2013, OP asked for game suggestions to get his mind off a recent traumatic experience. You see, his sister had just come home and noticed that there was a puddle of man milk on the kitchen floor. When he was pressed on why his nut was splattered all over the tile, he simply said he had a fetish he didn't care to mention. But eventually he relents and spills the beans. OP was attracted to floor tiles. He even showed his directory of different types of floor tiles that he whacks off to. Well, floor tile guy, congratulations. You officially win my Degenerate of the Day award. Actually, I should probably save that until the end of the video. I'm sure something more screwed up will show up later. In 2009, Time Magazine held their yearly poll to decide who would be on their top 100 most influential people of the year. So of course, 4chan manipulated the results and got Moot to the #1 most influential person. And if that wasn't enough, they also picked the rest of the list too, which they arranged in a way so that the first letter of their names would spell out the words marble cake and also the game. Fuck, now I gotta explain what all that means. So marble cake is a sexual act, which I won't mention because I'm a gentleman. It's also the name of the chat room where supposedly Project Chanology originated. And the game is a game where the object of the game is to not think about the game. So by me mentioning the game, all of you have lost the game. God damn, dude, this is like a blast from the past. If you didn't grow up playing the game, then consider yourself lucky because it was the most annoying shit ever back in the day. No joke, I had a friend who I stopped talking to because he would say, I lost the game every 5 minutes. 4chan ISP ban. So a few years back, there was a shooting in New Zealand which was live streamed and widely shared on 4chan. The perpetrator was a big 4chan enjoyer, and a lot of internet service providers in Australia and New Zealand straight up banned 4chan because of this, and 8chan and a bunch of other websites. I don't know if that's still the case, but it was for a while. OxyChan. Bianca Devins was your average teenager who spent a lot of time on the internet. In her free time, she ran a Discord server with people she met on 4chan and went by her online handle, OxyChan. On July 14th, 2019, Bianca had her life taken away from her by a man named Brandon Andrew Clark. Clark posted photos of Bianca's body on Instagram and Discord after he did what he did. The two had met on Instagram sometime in April of 2019 and they became friends. It's not clear if the two were in a romantic relationship, but they did start hanging out in real life after about 2 months of talking on the internet. On July 13th, Bianca and Brandon went to a concert in New York City, and Bianca's friend Alex, who she also met on Discord, came with them. Apparently at some point, Bianca and Alex kissed, and Brandon was not happy about it. So that night, in a fit of jealousy, he sliced Bianca's throat and posted the photos all over the internet. And the photos spread on social media and 4chan like wildfire. It was so bad that they actually had to pass laws to prevent things like this from happening in the future. Furries, possibly the most hated minority group of all time, right above Jews and right under Raiders fans. Moon created a fur board in 2005 made specifically for furries, but impossibly one of the most based acts in human history, he banned all of them and closed the board the next day. FBI Party Van. Now, as I briefly mentioned earlier, it's pretty clear to most people that the FBI monitors 4chan, since a lot of wild stuff goes down there. So the term FBI Party Van comes from the idea that if you say something out of pocket on there, the FBI is going to pull up your IP and take you away in a party van. Mad Max Ogre is referring to this post where some dude is holding up a copy of Mad Max Fury Road with the caption, "Aw yeah, just got back from Coco to get a copy of Fury Road. Anyone else picked it up?" Now, at first glance, this seems like a perfectly normal post, but upon closer inspection, this dude has a Shrek hand. Shrek straight up left the swamp and walked his ass to Costco and picked up a copy of Mad Max Fury Road on Blu-ray. SpongeBob is a grotesque, hideously deformed version of the beloved children's cartoon character, SpongeBob SquarePants. The exact origin of SpongeBob is unknown, but the only thing I know for sure is that it'll haunt my dreams forever. Toilet mushrooms is referring to a guy who found a startling discovery in his toilet. And no, it wasn't a rare purple dookie, it was mushrooms. Mushrooms growing out of his toilet. And it didn't take much to convince this guy to eat those toilet shrooms, so either he's dead or has superpowers. And remember, the next time you go to a restaurant and order a mushroom dish, it might have come out of a toilet. A few months ago, I invited a NEET boy to come and live with me. I'm also a NEET, but my parents are rich and I was able to offer him anything he wanted. But in return, he had to live with me and take female hormone injections, as well as take care of himself and dress in cute clothes. As of now, he's pretty happy. I buy him lots of things and hormone treatment is going good. As you can see, his skin is becoming very soft and he's gaining weight in all the right places. And then he posted a picture of the dude butt-ass naked in some kind of prison under his bed. Rachel Weisner versus 4chan. In 2010, a girl named Rachel Weisner offered a trade to the people of 4chan. If they bought her a pizza, she would post a picture of her bare breasts. 4chan kept up their end of the bargain and sent her the complimentary pizza. But Rachel didn't honor her end of the deal. Instead, she posted this photo mocking 4chan. Then she bragged about her epic troll on Facebook. But Rachel was about to learn a hard lesson. You don't mess with sexually repressed basement dwellers and get away with it. It only took a few days, but people were able to find her real name, address, school, parents, even her boyfriend. And they posted it all on 4chan for the world to see. I wonder if it was worth the free pizza. Anon finds a grenade. This is an iconic green text story. Guy makes a post saying, "Look what I found in the forest today. Is it dangerous?" He then obviously gets goaded into pulling the pin of the grenade, which eventually he gives in and pulls it. As you fuckers suggested, I tried pulling the pin, but basically the whole top broke off. I left it there for a few minutes, but nothing happened. What do next? Then he and put it in the microwave. OP here, sorry it took so long. I tried burning it several minutes. Nothing happened for fuck's sake. Couple minutes later, he was running it over with his car, and that was the last anybody ever heard of this guy. RIP. The Ohio fetish. What is the most shameful thing you've ever done that's related to video games? I have a fetish for the state of Ohio, and I regularly practice it on Minecraft as a form of one-sided erotic roleplay. After much convincing, the Anon finally relented and decided to explain what exactly it was about Ohio that made his pee-pee hard. He posted this really long green text, which I'll summarize. Basically, the guy was really into geography, hiking, exploring landscapes, things of that nature. He especially was interested in the Ohio River Valley Long Hunters, who were like the best land surveyors in history. One day, a guy who wrote a book on the Long Hunters came into town for a book signing, so Anon goes and the author invited him on a hike with them and a bunch of other Long Hunter fanatics. So Anon agrees, and on the hike, all the members start doing drugs. While he's high out of his mind, the author of the book starts explaining in detail how the Ohio River Valley was created and does a deep dive into the geography. While that was going on, the author guy was also touching his pee-pee. At the end of the story, Anon has a pleasure bomb all over the floor, and the author says to him, "I know you may not understand, but becoming a Long Hunter is a long process that requires a deep spiritual connection to the woods. I hope I've helped you out." And now he has an Ohio fetish. Man, I don't know what's more disturbing, the fact that the guy basically got assaulted or the fact that it happened in Ohio. Has anyone really been far even as decided to use what to do look more like? A link to a YouTube video featuring gameplay of a Wii game called The Conduit was posted on 4chan, and the first comment on it was, has anyone really been far even as decided to use what to do look more like? What does this mean? Was OP having a seizure, or was this code for something? Nobody knows. 0 hour is defined as the time which a planned operation, typically a military one, is set to begin. Poltards have been predicting what's called the 0 hour for years, which is the moment in which the New World Order will finally initiate their plan of global domination. Agile 2013 raid. An Anon who was bored at work one day posted a call to action. "Hello B, I come to you in a time of great need. I'm bored as fuck at a work-related conference, Agile 2013, in Nashville, and I'm ready to off myself. They have one object that could definitely pass the time and ruin the entire conference and spread lulz. 5 giant screens that post tweets under the tag #Agile2013. The tweets fly by 5 of these massive screens as conference attendees contribute bullshit messages. Ridiculous avatars, gore, and trap imagery would be much appreciated and make me smile. Please. Pretty please." And it didn't take long for OP's wish to come true. Suddenly, the bullshit corporate messages began getting drowned out by stuff like this. "Fuck my ass. There's a guy having sex with a dead person in the toilets? Tongue-punching fart boxes for $30 an hour. Concerning teamwork, Asians should be ignored as they are only good for making electronics for cheap." You get the idea. Agile 2013 tried as hard as they could to get this under control, and things only got worse. You see, the Agile 2013 website had a live Twitter feed which would display all the latest images with the hashtag Agile2013. So photos of people enjoying themselves at the conference were replaced with gay porn and caca. 4chan had done it again, and OP had the greatest conference experience of all time. So Sam Hyde is a YouTuber / comedian that's popular on 4chan. Every time there's a mass scooting or terrorist attack in the US, these photos start circulating of Sam Hyde that trick people into thinking that he was the perpetrator. Bolsonaro hack. June 3rd, 2020, Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro opened up his Wells Fargo app and started looking through his transactions as he does every day. $80 for Fogo de Chao, $1,200 for hookers, $5,000 for student loans, $70,000 on Steam games. Wait, what? That can't be right. So he calls his credit card company to complain. Turns out his credit card had been charged for hundreds of thousands of dollars that he had no idea about. Now, he had been in this situation a few times in the past. Too much booze and coke will do that to a man, but that wasn't the case this time. You see, some random schmuck on 4chan figured out his credit card information and leaked it along with his address and other personal data. 30-year-old virgin wizard. This is the idea that if somebody reaches the age of 30 without having relations, then they will somehow generate superpowers. Which on the surface sounds ridiculous, but then again, Isaac Newton and Nikola Tesla, 2 of the smartest men of history, famously never stooped, so there might be something to this. This post is art. In the age of NFTs, it's no longer surprising to anyone that a useless image can sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars. I think one Anon on 4chan summed it up best. Art used to be something to cherish. Now anything can be art. This post is art. And he was right, because a framed copy of this post sold on eBay for $90,000 back in 2014. Speaking of eBay, we got the Beyblade eBay auction. eBay. The only place where you can buy something and only get an empty box in return. eBay is notorious for a bunch of stupid shenanigans and tomfoolery. Take this auction for instance. Selling 8 Beyblades to replace a destroyed bathtub, accompanied by a photo of 2 kids who look really sad. We are selling 8 Beyblades. 2 of them will light up. As you can tell, they are not happy about this. They have been using the bathtub as a battle arena, And Beyblades plus bathtub equals destruction. With the metal ones, they managed to scrape the enamel off the tub, take a chunk of the tub out, and break off the soap holder. So, if you win this auction, don't play with the bathtub. We have received a quote of $500 to replace this tub, some tiles, and the soap holder, plus labor, of course. They had approximately $125.67 in their piggy banks that will be going towards the cost. We will use the profit from this auction towards the balance, and then it is on to other toys. Good luck bidding. PayPal only. Once the photo of the two kids made its way to 4chan, people immediately started photoshopping it in funny ways. But it didn't stop there. A lot of people on B weren't too fond of this mother's attempt at public humiliation, so they sprang into action and immediately started putting in a bunch of fake bids for Beyblades, eventually running the price up to $1 million. The mother herself put out a statement saying, "I wanted to let you know that eBay took the listing down because of all the fake bids. We do have the option to relist. It did not violate any eBay codes, but we are undecided if we will. We received several hundred emails in the last few hours that we had the listing up. Most of the emails were not very nice, and not sure if we're willing to deal with that again." Yeah, I mean, the messages might not have been very nice, but neither is exposing your kids to public humiliation on the internet. I mean, come on, they were just doing kids stuff. You should have just taken care of it the old-fashioned way and beat them with a wooden spoon like my mom did to me. And look how good I turned out, you dumb broad. Scooby 1961. These days, YouTube is infested with fitness channels shilling supplements and pretending to not be on steroids. But back in the early days of YouTube, the most popular YouTuber in the genre was a guy by the name of Scooby 1961. Scooby was also a regular poster on 4chan's Fitboard, where he was pretty popular, but not everybody liked him. In fact, a small group of people disliked him so much that they posted his name and address. Following this, Scooby posted what he said would be his last video due to the real-life harassment he was dealing with.
Some recent very disturbing events require that some changes be made for the safety of my family, including relocation and shutting down social media.
Most people on 4chan and pretty much every other fitness message board on the internet denounced the doxer and tried to convince Scooby not to give up. And luckily, he didn't. In fact, he's still posting to this very day. Absolute Chad. 4chan Dancing Man. One of the biggest pastimes on 4chan is making fun of fat people. On February 13th, 2015, somebody posted a photo of an absolute unit dancing in the club, and another photo of him looking all sad, with the caption, "Spotted this specimen trying to dance the other week. He stopped when he saw us laughing." When that post started spilling outside of 4chan, people were appalled at how mean-spirited it was. Journalist Cassandra Fairbanks decided to find the man and do something nice for him. He was eventually identified as London's very own Sean O'Brien. Bro, tell me why I knew this dude was British from the very first second I laid eyes on him. I don't know how. Anyways, Cassandra held a fundraiser for our boy Sean and threw him a big party in LA with special guests Moby and Monica Lewinsky? That's kind of random. While he was in LA, he even threw the first pitch at the Dodgers game. So all in all, dude had a pretty good time. I'm happy for the bloke. 4chan Blockade Raid. Blockade is a Roblox game where players can create their own world. It's kind of like Minecraft, but in Roblox. Anyways, for some unspecified reason on May 6, 2020, 4chan decided to make the game their next target for a raid. That afternoon, somebody logged into Blockade and started spamming strong language and racist stuff, typical of 4chan. But Fuchs, the creator of Blockade, caught wind of it and quickly privated the server before any real damage was done. But I guess the whole situation left him traumatized because he quit Roblox altogether. Person injects glowing substance in his veins. I mean, this one's pretty self-explanatory. Dude just injected straight up a mana potion into his vein. He was probably casting fireballs in his bedroom after this shit. We make cool crystals and post results. Okay, so this is easy. You should have all these chemicals you need around the house. First, you'll need 5 pennies and a straw. Get a clear jar, scoop 2 tablespoons of salt into it, and 1 tablespoon of baking soda. Now you need ammonia. Pour it in the jar until it's 2/3 of the way full. Then fill the rest of the jar with bleach. Now, drop the pennies into the bottom and quickly take the straw and blow bubbles into the pennies. You should begin to see stringy crystals form after about 30 seconds of blowing. I'm going to teach you guys something very important. Ammonia plus bleach equals mustard gas, okay? If you mix these things together, you will probably die. Anthony Fantano shooting. On October 1st, 2015, Chris Mercer went to his community college in Oregon and ended the lives of 8 people. Before the attack, Mercer made a post on 4chan.
Some of you guys are alright. Don't go to school tomorrow if you're in the Northwest. A happening thread will be posted tomorrow morning. So long, space robots.
Now, if you look closely at that clip, you'll notice that that's a photo of Anthony Fantano. This is real. Like, they actually fucked up and put this photo on a live news broadcast. And that's because the actual guy looks kind of like Anthony, and people on 4chan were posting side-by-side photos of him, so I think it got to the top of Google. So yeah, the boomers at the news station probably saw the top Google search results and then got confused and put the wrong photo. Reiko's trap harem. In the depths of the R9K board, there was a man who was up to some tomfoolery of the highest degree. I won't rest until every sissy boy on R9K has started hormone replacement therapy, or at the very least, starts cross-dressing. Less shitty genes in the world and more traps for me. These are the words of Reiko3333, the most diabolical degenerate in 4chan history. And that's saying something. Reiko's main goal in life was to get as many people as possible to start doing HRT and become traps, or femboys. His evil plot was laid out by one of his victims in this post. Once his scheme was discovered, he made a lot of enemies, and a lot of people are trying to dox him to this very day. Turkey Tom made like an hour-long video about this guy. I suggest you guys watch it. It's absolutely insane. The Grifter. The Grifter is the title of a video that supposedly will ruin your life. People who have seen this video are said to experience depression, nausea, nightmares, and just general feelings of unease. All there's left of this video is a small clip, so be warned. If you're easily disturbed, skip ahead 3 seconds. Hey, it's Franklin. The first known mention of this video was in 4chan's X board in 2009, but apparently the video itself had been posted to 4chan a year before. But by this point, it had already disappeared from the internet. It was a video posted on here back in 2008. Don't know exactly what it was because I never had the balls to watch it. Everyone who saw it complained about having nightmares and not being able to describe it. Most people didn't even want to talk about it. It was on YouTube originally, but it got taken down pretty quickly. Well, it wasn't snuff or anything like that, but apparently it was just some really weird audio-visual thing with some moving in the background that created this really unnerving feeling. People reportedly got sick, having nightmares, and apparently even whacked themselves. But I don't know if anyone confirmed that. Let me just say, it was the worst 2 minutes of my life. I'd rather fap to 3 Guys 1 Hammer 10,000 times before I ever watch that shit again. Those were some testimonials. The only thing left of its existence now is a few still shots that are allegedly from the video. I mean, let's be honest, it sounds like another horseshit creepypasta, but you never know. You never know. Ori Chef is referring to this strange Facebook account that was discovered by somebody on 4chan's paranormal board. So I was just on Facebook like a normie that I am, and I came across a comment in a post that's a bit unnerving. The comment was obviously not entirely in English, but she explains how she wants to be cremated before her husband or some type of thing. She kept talking about her friend Susie or something. I got weirded out by this and tried to click the Facebook account to know what the fuck is up with this lady. This is where it gets weirder. This is her friends list. I don't know why, but I suddenly got creeped out by how many of her accounts there are. Every picture was recycled by her and only slightly changed the name. Every bio she adds has some kind of weird or cryptic message of some kind, like cheese bread from an almond milkshake or pita bread from a seasoned beef, kind of shit like that. So people were naturally confused as to the purpose of these accounts and why they had these weird, seemingly nonsensical bios. Could these be some kind of coded messages, or somebody who's mentally ill, an AI gone rogue, a troll? I don't know, there's a lot of possibilities here. But it gets even weirder when OP came across a comment of hers that was just a list of phrases. And again, these phrases made no sense. Translated into English, they read, always take a bath every day, always use dental floss after brushing your teeth, always use mouthwash 7 years old enough after brushing teeth, always use deodorant after taking a bath, be like me. I don't know what that's about, but I feel like OP is trying to subliminally influence these sweaty neckbeards into cleaning themselves up. Now, somebody actually reached out to Ori on Facebook and asked why there's so many accounts, and she responded that she made them because she uses them to play games on Facebook, which kind of makes sense, I guess. I've done this too back in the day, you know. In order to unlock certain items in a game, you would have to send an invite to one of your Facebook friends to join the game. So people would just make another account and send the invite to themselves as a workaround. But that still leaves a lot of questions unanswered, and the story gets even weirder. Alongside the nonsensical ramblings, you find random pictures of gore, and things of that nature. "This is delicious cake, you must eat it" is a phrase that originated on 2chan but later became a popular meme on 4chan as well. It's a reference to Super Mario 64 where you beat the game, Peach gives Mario a cake. After all that bullshit that she put Mario through, and all he gets is a stupid lousy cake. Z. The Z board was a short-lived 4chan board where a new moderator was chosen from the user base every month or so. The first mod was a guy by the name of Soviet Russia, and much like the real Soviet Russia, the board quickly descended into chaos. At one point, it was pretty much just all gay porn. After only a few months, Moot and WT Snacks closed Z permanently, and it went down as another failed experiment. Dreamscape, or My Diary Desu, is a book that was written by a collaboration of people from 4chan's literature board. Here's the description. Successful marathon runner, survivor of sexual abuse, son to a transgender parent killer, violent car crash enthusiast, Jason Phaedon dwells within the world of Dreamscape, where everything is not as it seems. In Jay's journey, we come to experience mind-boggling revelations in places where we may never have considered. Discover the true nature of Chef Boyardee's classic beef ravioli in tomato and meat sauce. Treatises and essays on the condition of the virtual and mimetic age. The implications of the new sincerism in Islamic Scandinavia, with twists and turns that simply defy the laws of narrative reality itself. Become awakened and enlightened by this extraordinary piece of fiction, all crafted by the ever-pioneering community on 4chan's literature board. God damn, man, this is the most plot-heavy story I've ever heard, but honestly, I might have to pick up this literary masterpiece. Put it right next to my copy of Fear and Trembling. 4chan trying to knock over a traffic cone. So there used to be these sites, I don't know if they still exist today, but they would just live stream random locations around the world. So this one guy found one in Norway that was pointed at a traffic cone. He then issued a challenge to 4chan to see if they could knock the traffic cone over without actually doing it themselves. So these mother suckers started ordering pizzas to that exact location, hoping that the pizza guy would accidentally knock the cone over, but they were unsuccessful. So next, they would call the paramedics and police to that location, hoping that they would knock it over. But when that didn't work, some schmuck called his cousin in Norway and lied to him that he was in the country visiting, and to meet him at that address. When his cousin showed up, obviously Anon wasn't there. So they were hoping that the cousin would get mad enough that he would kick the cone over. And eventually they got the wish. The dude got pissed, got in his car and drove off. But when he backed his truck up, he hit the cone and knocked it over. Now, there's no video evidence of that last part of the tale. I'm just going off what the guy who made this iceberg chart said. But I believe everything I read on the internet, so it's probably true.